This is, I think you can understand, right? If you write an IP address like this, if you see somewhere a IP address like this, the slash represents subnet mask. So if you convert this into like this, 11111 and 000, like 22 ones, and then remaining become zeros. So if you convert again into the decimal format, this is your subnet mask. Okay. So here it is two important concepts. One is private IP address, another one is NAT concept. Actually, diagrams are there, so it is missed in this old one. So we'll try see. What is the private IP address? As I said, IP addresses in IPv4 are very limited IP address. So what the IANA ICANN is done, IANA is actually done. What we done it is they give a IP addresses in a class A, class B, class C. There's some IP addresses are represent for a private IP. Means within a private you can communicate. Means within the LAN or within a private you can communicate each other without purchasing any IP address. Okay, without purchasing these IP addresses, private IP address, you need to purchase it. For example, you have a more than 65,530 for host, but you use class A. In your private network, you have a more than 65,530 for a host, you use class A, right? So if you choose a class A, so this is a class A private IP. It starts from 10.0.0. Only one single network in a class A they given for a private. So if you assign an IP address to the devices in your private network, 10.0.0.0 series means 10 series. So that is your private. If you put 11, it is public IP. You have to take a permission to use 11.0.0 or 12, 13, 14, 15, anything other than this 10, okay, is public IP addresses only. The entire range is only single network, means 10 is not changes. 10.0.0.0, this entire network, I will write properly here. Okay. 10.0.0.0 is our private IP address. This entire network is our private IP, private network. Means start from 0.0.0.1 to 10.255.255.254. Up to here, you can assign to your host within the private network, within the LAN network. Okay, this is class A range. Same goes for class B. In class B also, they given a range from 170.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255. This is entire range. So here it is. Also, you can write like standard 255, 255, 255. Okay, this is single network only. But this is not a single network. Why single? It is not a single network. 172 is common, but 16, this one is also network portion only. So it means you take one network. This is one network. This is start, right? And this is end. This is one network. This is private network, and this is also a private network. And this is also a private network. Different networks. So you'll get a more networks here. So it goes on. So it is the last one is 31.0.1. This entire host numbers are belongs to same network. Okay. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30. So 31 up to here. Again, if you have seen 32 dot something, What is this? This is again public network. It is not private. This is not private. And if you go above 172.15, this network is not private. When you see 00, it's a network. If you see 01, it is host IP address. Okay, this is not a private. This is not a private. Which one is private? This entire range is private only. Okay, this is total range. This is individual networks. This one only have written separately. Okay, the private IP, private network, private. So totally around 15 private IP addresses you will get it in this network. Okay, that is class B. About a class C. Class C. So you have a only less than 254 host. What we use? Class C. This is a class C network. This entire network is this entire range is private only. Again, here it is. You get a 254 number of hosts. No, not 254. 256 number of hosts. You will get it. So this is the first network. This is another network. This is another network. So like this, with where it is changes, only this part. This part is not changing in private, only this part is changing in private. Okay. This is host portion. Anyway, this is host portion. Only this network portion only, third octet network portion only changes. 255, this network. Okay. If you write in the ranges wise, like you write the range wise. Yeah. Up to 255. This is complete one network. Complete one network. This is network ID. This is broadcast ID. Or you can write one also, like you can write from here. This is starting. This is ending. Okay. This is your network range. So how I write it like this? This is same way. This is one. Okay. So this is also goes like that. So it's you take this starting IP. This is network ID. This is starting IP. What is the ending IP? Last broadcast is this one. It goes up to here. Same thing. It is starting, last IP, broadcast ID. Okay, guys. In a class C, you get almost 0 to 255, means 256 networks in a class C for private. Okay, here it is almost all 15 networks in a class B. Here it is only one network in a class A. Okay, if you use 11, it is public. If you use 10, it is private. If you use 170.16 or 172.17, 170.20, 170.29, 170.31, these are all private IP addresses. If you use 192.168.0.1.2.3.255, all are private only. If you use 190.168.9, this is again not private, it's a public. Okay, if you use this is also not private. So above and below is not private, it is a public. This is private. Okay, guys, understand ranges, private and public IP addresses ranges. It should respond, because it is understanding is important, not just information. Okay, I'll continue because you are not responding. So non-routable in public. What is this private IP address? For example, I assign an IP address here. This is my, for example, I have a server. So it is a web server. I have a website in this web server. Okay, this is my web server. In this one, I have a private IP. So I assign one private IP, 19 simple 10.0.0.22. This is my server IP address. This is my local PC. This is entirely local system. From here to here, it will communicate because both are in the same network ID. Okay. Okay. From here to here, I can able to communicate because it's private and private network. Within the private same network, it can able to communicate. So I can open a web page. I can open a web browser and I can able to access that website. Okay. So this is we can able to access from here. Understand this point, guys?
Once repeat, sir.
Right. This one?
Web server and the rest of sir.
Okay. In my organization, I am having a my own private network. Okay. So I have a server. So, websites, website we are able to access means there is a web server. Okay. So I have a web server. And this web server IP address is something 10.0.0.12, for example. This is a web server in my private network. So there is a website inside. And I'm a client. I have my own computer inside of this network. This is client PC. So I want to access this website. How to access a website? So put a URL in your browser, right? So I'm accessing with the IP address for our understanding. So this is URL belongs to web server. Okay. And I'm also in the same network, same logical and physical network, same network it is. Okay. So this is my IP address. This is my web server IP address. Both are in the same network, same logical. So I can able to access. I can able to open the web page from here. I send a request. I can able to access. Not only me, anyone in the same network, in our network in private, so they can able to access. Okay, simple. For example, you have seen web servers, right? So there are a lot of websites. If you are able to access means there is a web server. So for example, Java T point server is there in somewhere it is there. Okay, this website is there. So when you open, you can able to access the website, right? Same way.
Yes.
Okay. Same way, someone is in the internet. I'm in the internet, right? I'm not in the Java T point location. I'm in somewhere in the internet. Okay. Like that, someone user are trying to access my web server with an IP address of 10.0.0. So what will happen? They can't access. You cannot access. Why? Because it is private and it is public. Internet means public. Okay.
Yes.
So with
So
the
your
private,
organization is yes, sir. So organization is consisted private. So other public organization cannot access it.
yes, if
Okay.
other people in the internet cannot access your private network, okay, directly with your private IP, they can't access. Not only that, one more point is there. You are, for example, this is in a private network. This is also 10 series, for example. This is a private network. Okay. He is also cannot access outside network. He cannot able to access outside of the public network. He is in a private network. He cannot access outside, cannot get accessed by outside. So this access is not, this access is also not. Within the private, we can communicate with the private IP. You cannot communicate outside and you cannot get communicated from outside, even it is connected.
So can you give some examples, so that I can understand? Like
Example,
website, some website, private websites that restricted to organism.
okay, no, but I have to open my server. Okay,
No issues.
so
No.
I have
Okay, sir.
okay, I have a server. So for example, this is my voice ticket server is there. I can access from my system within my network, within our office network, we can access, but you can't access my server. Okay, you can't access my server. If I start, it will take time. That's the part.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So anyway, I will show this server when we are discussing about service desk. That time definitely I will show you. You can see how I am accessing, you can able to access. Okay, remember that point. Okay. Here is a question is, one is you understand that is my server is in my private network, so you cannot access. That is a good thing. But your network is private network, also you cannot able to access. Okay. So thing is, if you want to get access internet, sorry, you want to access internet. Internet is a public one. Internet is the public one. Internet is public one. So you want to access the public means I want to access Java T point, or I want to access WhatsApp. I want to access Google Docs. I want to access Gmail account. These are all in the public internet. So to access it, I need internet connection. Okay, of course, but important is we need a public IP to communicate public network. What we need? We need a public IP address to communicate the public resources. For example, I have a gmail.com is there. So Gmail is in public, right? It is in internet outside of my network. I want to access Gmail network. What I need, I have to access through my public IP only. So I cannot access with my private IP. I have to access with the public. This is one point. Second, same way, I have a web server. I have web server. This web server should be accessed from outside. So what this server need is server is need. I have connection, internet connection is there, means public access connection is there, and I need a public IP address. For example, I purchase some public IP address like this and assign to this one. Okay. So this is my server IP, and if someone is trying to access my website, how do they access? Of course, generally we are using a name, but actually we are communicating with a IP address, right? So what he done, he put a name with the DNS, or he put a IP address. Okay, so this is a URL open in their website with a public IP, so I can able to access this one. With a private IP, you can't access, but public IP, you can able to access. So send request through the internet. So it comes to your network and reaches your web server. So he can able to access your website. So we are accessing public. So how to access public? Through the public IP. And we are getting access from public through the public IP only. So you want to communicate outside of your network, you need a public IP address. Understand, guys? Private IP address is non-routable. We cannot access internet with a private IP address.
Yes, sir.
I have written wrongly, I think.
Yes,
You cannot access internet with the private IP. Okay. So there is few things to get it. Like a private IP cannot be go to the public. This IP address exists in the world multiple locations. Maybe you have seen 192.168.0.100 like or 1.200 like this IP addresses most common in a lot of networks. In my home, I have 192.168 network. In your home also 192.168 network. So in your friend location also 192.168 location number. So these private IP addresses can be used by different places repeatedly. So obviously it cannot be in the public. We cannot see this private in the public networks.
So in this case only we use VPN, sir, or it is for different case.
Yeah, very good question. So guys, one thing I will try to show one IP config, right? So what is my IP address? This. Of course, it is subnetting network. See, subnet mask is not a default one. It is customized subnet mask. Okay. So what is my IP address? Is a private or public?
Private, sir.
Private IP address. Very good. It is my private IP, but I can able to access internet. How it is possible? I'm in a private IP and private network. How can I able to access public network?
Due to subnetting, sir, like modifying.
Subnetting divide a network, not subnetting. I will tell the answer. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, so you understand question, right? So I have a private IP address, but I can able to access internet. I can able to open Gmail account. I can able to access Java T point, right? So I can able to talk to you through the Microsoft Teams, right? So understand the question. Yeah. Yeah. Just one second. Okay. Understand question, guys? I'm in a private network and my IP address is private IP address, right? So I have 172.16 something dot something. It's a private, but still I can able to access public. So one is we need a internet connection. Of course, even though you have internet connection, you are private, but outside communication is public communication. What happened here? They use a technique. There is a technique called a NAT and PAT techniques are there. NAT technique and PAT technique to communicate and to get communicated from private. So NAT means network address translation. PAT means port address translations. What is NAT will do? Maps inside a private IP address. Outside means public IP address. Devices communicate in a private with a private IP. When they communicated to public, they use public IP address. So you have a private network here, but to communicate outside, you need a public IP address. So earlier example, as I said, an organization having a web server, an organization having a different servers, web server kind of stuff. Okay, so just for our understanding, I will put a web server. So I have a web server with some private IP to communicate within the private. Okay. So this is my web server IP. So from here to here, without internet, without any kind of stuff, I can able to communicate. I can open a web page from here. That is good, easy. But someone wants to access my website through public. Okay, through public. So someone is trying to access my web server through public. So if they want to access, I need a public IP address. So here I'm not assigning any public IP. I will take care in the router. I'll take care in the router only. In the router, so what I am doing is, okay, I put a translations like this. I have to purchase a public IP. Public IP address is always paid. You don't get any public IP freely. Okay. So of course, there is a lot of techniques without purchasing public IP, using a public, some other DDNS kind of stuff concepts are there. Dynamic DNS concepts are there. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking only. So you want to communicate in a public, or you want to get communicated from public, you need a public IP. So first of all, you have to purchase a public IP address. Okay. So how many?
Yes.
Servers you want to get communicated from outside, or you want how many systems you have which is required to communicate to public. So for example, this is my server. This server is having a private IP, and I purchase a public IP address and assign to it. Okay. For example, I purchase an IP address is, for example, 112.22.46.7T1. So this is my public IP. I purchased this public IP from this what is the regional centers are there. ICANN regional centers are there. So I have to go and apply. So this is a public IP I required for my organization. So I have to purchase. I have to pay monthly or yearly. So then I have to configure in my routers. So one is public IP, internally private, publicly it's a private public IP address only. Okay. So I have a server, I have assigned that one. So we can able to access. So this client will access my server with this public IP. Now what will happen? Okay. So what will happen? Request goes like this. Request go to the internet. Finally, it reaches your network with the public IP. So it is asking, I want to access a web service with this particular IP address. Okay. So what it will do? It translate. Yes, this is belongs to this IP and give it to this. Translate. Okay. Same way goes. I want to communicate to the public. I have a internal system that is public system is there. 17 internally private is there. Just for easy to get it. Okay. See this, and my router, I put another NAT mapping. If any request comes from this particular system, which is 22.33, okay? So when it is going outside, go with this particular IP. Go with this. So when this our PC is trying to communicate outside, when it is going outside, it go with this particular IP, not with the its own private IP. So it will go out into this internet. Okay. So when incoming is there with our public only, and outgoing is there with the public only. Translate back. For example, I open something facebook.com. So when I try to reach the facebook.com, facebook.com also replies with our public IP address only. It reaches up to here, and finally NAT translates will give you private. Okay, so this is NAT technique, guys. Network address translations. So mainly used to communicate from your local, means your private IP, private network to public network. So what is the advantage? So in your network, you can use your own private. When you are communicating outside or to get a communicated from outside, you need a public. So you have to purchase a public IP address assigned to those private IP addresses need to be communicated. Understand, guys? NAT inside and outside. Inside private, outside public IP.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But here is a problem. What is the problem? You have a 10 computers are there, 10 servers are there, or 10 systems are there. Servers are there, compulsory 10 to 10 public IP required. 10 private servers to communicate in public. You need a 10 public IP address. That is good. Always 10 to 10 is compulsory. But you have normal systems also. They also need an internet, right? I need an internet. My laptop is an internet. Okay, and there is a desktops need an internet. My mobile phone is an internet is required. Okay, so a lot of staff is there. Other trainers are there. Other HR team is there. They need internet connection. So lot of devices are there. In for example, I have a totally 50 employees are working. Normal desktops, not even a servers. 50 desktops are there. So how many public IP address I have to purchase? Again, 50. If I have 10 servers or 5 servers, 50 servers, 100 servers, have to purchase compulsory. There is many public IP address. But normal desktops for normal access also, if I want to buy, that is more cost. Okay. So in your home, or offices, that the this technique they use called a PAT. What is a PAT technique? Port address translation. PAT is port address translation.
NAT, sir.
Network address translation. Okay. This PAT is also called as a NAT overload. Why it is called a NAT overload? So we'll see this. So here in this technique is more beneficial, and we are all using this technique to communicate in the public. For example, here it is. I have a private network and I have a public network. So I'll put 100. Here in this technique, what we use same public IP address for a multiple devices. For multiple IP addresses, we use a same public IP address. But will be a problem. There will be a problem. What is the problem? So when you are communicating outside, you will communicate with the public. Means 11 system is same public, 12 system same public, 13 system same public, 15 system same public, 20 system public, 30 system same public IP address. So you are going with one single same IP address, but when your request is coming, right? Okay, so for example, you are all having individual names, but I put a one common name for everyone. If I call with same common name, means who is going to be respond? No. So we cannot judge that one. So anybody can. So you ask a question or you need some request, but I given a common thing. It's difficult, right? So what this system, that how it is works, it assigns with a request, means a private IP and some random port number, means they're having a port number. So they will do like this, some port number. For example, this is a port number and it maps like this to identify uniquely, which is requester, private IP, and public IP. Because guys, communication is two ways. You open a google.com, facebook.com, you send a request, you receive a request. Sorry, I have done mistake like this. So what happens here? It maps using some port number. It maps using some port number. So port number is common. Can you observe the port number? So port number wise, it is mapping. Single public address, multiple private IP address mapping with the help of port. This is for understanding. Really, it is little different from here. But if you see, it will map with the port number. Now, even though it is a public IP address is same for all these things, but port is different. It maps in this router. So when you are sending a request, I will put another color. Okay, fine. From here, I'm sending a request to the facebook.com. Okay, for example, this is the PC. Okay, so this is the IP address, local IP address. This is the port, and this is the public IP address. So with the public, it go to the facebook.com. Facebook.com will receive your request with this particular public IP address only. Okay, with this public IP and replies to you, and it reaches with this port number and public IP. This is reverse map to this one, and it will come to here. Okay, so we are all using this fact technique. And one small doubt, that is, have you purchasing public IP? Originally, you have to buy, but really we are taking internet connection. Really, we are not purchasing any separate public IP address for us. But how we are getting? Your ISP will take care of that one. Your internet service provider will take care of your public IP address communication. If you type here, this is my private IP. When I send a request to someone like a google.com, request goes with my public IP. Okay, internally private IP, but once it is cross my modem or a router, it goes with my public IP. So when you check an IP address, always go to command prompt ipconfig, that will show your local system IP address. Or you can go to the ncpa.cpl adapters and settings, you can do it. But if you type in Google, means in your search bar, what is my IP address? It may shows different. What is my IP? Somewhere, yeah, it shows some different IP address. Okay, it's not ours. Okay, it shows your public IP because Google don't know your private IP. Google knows your public IP. Any public system knows your public IP. That public IP also no guarantee that is your system. For my system, same public. For a CIRD system, if I go there, same public. Okay, within the same network. In our office, it shows always same public IP address. Maybe little different. Maybe little one or two differentiation. Maybe they purchase more public IP addresses, 3, 4 public IP address for efficient communication, efficient mapping. Okay. So what it is? Public IP become common for multiple systems. Okay, but outside knows your public IP. Inside it is private IP. But you are communicating outside, you communicate with public IP. So it is used a PAT technique, port address translation technique, which is also called as NAT overload. It maps your multiple private IP addresses into the single public IP or 1 or 2 public IP addresses using a technique called port mapping. This is port address translation. Okay. So NAT means one private, one public. You have a 10 private IP addresses, you need a 10 public IP addresses. Fact maps multiple or all private IP addresses into one public address, one or two, three, four public IP address. Somewhere some people use so 2, 3 public IP addresses also there. So it is like you have a private IP and it is mapped to single public IP address. But it use a port technique to map it. Use a port technique to map it. So this is NAT address translation. Guys, understand up to here? 5 minutes
Yes,
left.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow we'll continue this class. Okay. So I'm completed for today's version. So tomorrow we'll see these topics. Mostly with the troubleshooting, I will complete this. Okay. For now, I will give a first part of this, the OSA model. Okay, there were 7 layers and with the protocols port numbers also there, up to protocol port number. I will explain tomorrow remaining. Okay. Why I'm giving, just if possible, also read these things also. Okay. That's it for today. It's already 1:40. I have to go to lunch. Okay.
Sir, so